Our next guest made his debut appearance on our show last year, talking about the MS Push-Up Challenge. He's a popular fitness and personal development coach, ready to join us again to talk about how you can reduce your daily stress, fear, and anxiety. We welcome R.Roberts back to Virginia this morning. It's great to see you, Rob.
Oh, thank you. So good to be here again. So good to see you. Thanks for having me.
It's absolutely our pleasure. You know, as we talked a little bit, you're a coach in so many ways, Never Stumble Consulting and the creator of Muscle to Bone Fitness. You know, Rob, when you think about fitness, we often have this association with pushing through and the strength and the power. But a lot of that comes from finding balance, doesn't it?
Yes, it truly does. A lot of people think of fitness as just being your physical. It's actually more mental than physical. To get into any type of shape, you need to mentally be sound and be in the moment. So that's one of the things I really try to press. It is more so mental than physical in every aspect of the way.
As we look at ways to combat the fear, the anxiety, and the stress, especially given the last year that we've had, what are some of the words of wisdom that you share in doing that? I guess it's obviously doing some mental training.
Yes, it is. We have to first learn how to give ourselves permission to know exactly how we truly feel. A lot of times when someone asks you, hey, how are you doing today? We'll have a habit of saying, oh, I'm doing good, or I'm great, I'm great. Whenever I find out, whenever you hear a person say something twice, they're actually trying to convince themselves how they actually want to feel, but that's not how they truly feel. So when a person says, oh, I'm doing okay, and you hear it almost as if it's in a question mark, they're actually questioning themselves. So if we could take a moment to actually be in the moment and say, hey, I'm feeling great today, or no, I'm feeling angry today. And by us actually developing that solid baseline and being honest with ourselves, we will no longer have that almost jackhammer effect of almost pressing down and suppressing our natural feelings, which makes it where it's like a volcano and we end up erupting on a friend or family or coworker because we weren't honest from the beginning of how we actually felt. So being honest with yourself, it actually gives you the opportunity to actually release stress and being in that moment.
Isn't that interesting? Something as simple as being honest and giving yourself that permission to really share how you feel. You see those t-shirts where they say, I'm fine, everything's fine.
That's right.
But that's what
right.
we do.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. So, you know, we have to really take a good close look at stress, fear, and anxiety and realize a lot of us are actually going through stress right now. And if you continue to put on this fake facade, it's not going to help you in the long run.
So, Rob, once you've given yourself permission to be honest about how you're feeling, to express that, you probably want to dig a little deeper and start to identify where it's coming from.
Exactly. And for so many people, there's different factors and variables that do exist. But you first have to realize, well, what is stress? What is fear? What is anxiety? And stress truly is a demand that's placed on your mind or body. So it is just a simple demand that your body has to react to based upon what you're thinking about or what you're actually going through. And when you have that more intense, more excessive, that persistent type of demand, that persistent stress, that's when you start leaning into anxiety. All right, this right here happens usually when you have to say, have a test that's coming up or your first date or a public speaking event. That's when you develop a little bit of anxiety. A lot of times people, they realize, I feel a little unpleasant having stress and anxiety, and any unpleasant feeling is actually categorized as fear. That right there is your perception of a danger, whether it be real or imagined. So one example is, say you look at a spider web in the morning and it looks so beautiful with the morning dew on the web. You want to take a photo of it, the way the sun is hitting it, and you call someone over to take a look at it, but to them, their perception is different. That spider reminds them of a monster predator sitting in a death net. And they remember when they were younger and they were bit by a spider and how it caused them to go to a hospital. So they're actually suffering from arachnophobia, and they might have a panic attack or even, shortness of breath and a heart attack because it's their perception of the same thing that you could be looking at it. So really identifying what it means to you is really important.
Wow, that's incredible. Not once have I ever stopped to make that consideration that someone might be looking, you're right, at that spider web in the morning and seeing the dew and thinking of it as a thing of beauty, whereas it could be an absolute point of terror from somebody else's perspective. So if you're in that framework, if you're in that spot of terror, how do you reframe that perception?
Well, as we all know, perception becomes reality, but we have to remember, we have to focus on our outcome at the end of every day. What is it that most people truly want? We want to feel loved. We want to feel safe. We want to feel valued. So in order to have that outcome, we have to work our way all the way back to the beginning to find out, well, how did I get to this point here? It's all about your perception, your five senses, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, right? And then from there, it's about looking at our perspective. Okay. Our perspective is our point of view or our opinion. From there, we move to our mood, attitude, and behavior. And then from there, we make choices and decisions and ultimately an action. And that action leads you to your outcome. So here's what I tell a lot of my clients. I want you to start off every single day writing down a list. What is it that you're thankful for? When you do this, now you wake up with an attitude of gratitude. You're having that mindfulness, that time on your own. What are you actually thankful for? So when you walk with grace, now whatever you face, you're going to do it calm, breathing from a nice, cool place and relaxed. And it really does seem to actually help out a lot of people.
I was going to ask you what maybe your number one tip is. And I've been hearing a lot about this in terms of maybe journaling or just expressing that gratitude. Even if you take that first step and express it to yourself, it really can make a difference.
Exactly. A lot of people, they're so focused on what they want, but sometimes we have to take a step back and realize what we have, and when you do that, you're just have that attitude of gratitude. You're able to come from a calm place and dealing with anything that's going to affect you throughout the course of that day. So honesty is the best policy.
Well, we have a huge amount of appreciation for you, Rob Roberts, for being back with us. Thank you so much for making time.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be back. You are awesome. I love the show. Thank you.
Appreciate it. We enjoy talking with you. We'll share more information so folks can learn about getting that training going mentally and physically. Rob's Never Stumble Consulting or Muscle to Bone Fitness. We'll post a link on our website, WTVR.com/VTM.